Did you know that 90% of people stuck in the friend zone got there by doing exactly what they thought would get them out of it? I'm about to reveal the most powerful strategy Neil Strauss discovered to turn any friendship into a magnetic connection full of passion, and it's the opposite of everything you've been told. Picture this. She sees you as that great friend, always available, always understanding, always there when she needs you. But when another guy shows up, her energy completely shifts. Her voice becomes different, her gaze transforms, and you're left standing there wondering what he has that you don't. The answer will surprise you because it's not what he has, but what you're giving away too freely. What you're going to discover today isn't cheap tricks or manipulation. It's pure psychology applied to the art of human attraction. Neil Strauss spent years studying what separates men who generate desire from those who generate comfort. And the difference isn't in looks, it's not in money, it's not in perfect words. It's something much deeper that will forever transform how you relate to people you're attracted to. Let's start with the first major revelation that will change your perspective. The problem isn't that she doesn't see you as a man. The problem is that you're not behaving like one. And when I talk about behaving like a man, I'm not referring to toxic stereotypes or aggressive attitudes. I'm talking about something Neil Strauss called magnetic presence. That quality that makes a person unforgettable, unpredictable, and above all, valuable. Have you noticed how the most attractive people aren't necessarily the most available ones? They're not the ones who respond immediately, who always say yes, who adapt to everything. They're the ones who have something more important to do, something more interesting to think about. A life that doesn't revolve around others' validation. Think about that person you know who seems to have natural magnetism. When they speak, others listen. When they leave, others notice their absence. When they're present, the atmosphere changes. That person isn't trying to impress anyone. They're too busy being interesting to need approval from others. Neil Strauss discovered that attraction isn't generated through excessive presence, but through selective presence. It's not about always being there. It's about being there when it really matters. It's not about always saying what she wants to hear. It's about having the courage to say what needs to be said. Here's your first practical exercise. For the next 3 days, before responding to any message from that special person, ask yourself, am I responding because I have something valuable to contribute, or because I'm afraid not to respond? If it's out of fear, wait. If it's because you have something genuine to share, then respond, but do it from a place of abundance, not need. The difference between a friend and a romantic interest isn't in what you say, but in the energy from which you say it. A friend speaks from the need to maintain connection. An attractive man speaks from the confidence that his connection is valuable, but not indispensable. Have you noticed how your voice changes when you talk to someone you're attracted to versus when you talk to a friend? That difference in your voice reveals a difference in your energy, and that energy is exactly what determines how others perceive you. Repeat this phrase out loud. My presence is a gift, not an apology. Feel it in your body. Let that truth settle within you. Because until you understand your own value, no one else will. And this leads us to something even deeper that many don't understand. The second element that transforms friendships into passion is what Neil Strauss identified as productive tension. Most men are terrified of conflict, disagreement, the possibility that she might get upset. So they become approval machines. Yes, you're right. Yes, that's fine. Yes, whatever you say. But here's the truth no one tells you. Passion is born from contrast, not uniformity. When two people completely agree on everything, when there's never friction, when there's never challenge, what's created isn't attraction, it's comfort. And comfort is the silent enemy of desire. This doesn't mean you have to be confrontational or unpleasant. It means you have to be real. It means when she says something you disagree with, you have the courage to express your perspective. When she makes a decision you consider wrong, you have the confidence to offer an alternative. Productive tension is that spark generated when two strong personalities meet and create something new together. It's the debate that turns into laughter. It's the disagreement that transforms into mutual respect. It's the friction that generates heat. Look at couples who have maintained passion for years. They're not the ones where one always gives in to the other. They're the ones where both have defined personalities, clear opinions, and the confidence to express them without fear of losing the other. Here's an exercise that will immediately change your dynamic. The next time you're in a conversation with her and feel the urge to agree just to maintain harmony, stop, breathe, and ask yourself, what do I really think about this? Then express that opinion with respect but firmness. Don't say, well, maybe you're right, but say, I see things differently. For me, notice the difference. The first is an apology for existing. The second is a declaration of your reality. Neil Strauss taught that the most attractive men aren't those who never generate friction. They're those who know how to generate the right kind of friction. The friction that challenges, that inspires, that makes the other person have to rise to meet your level. But be careful, because there's a very fine line between productive tension and toxicity. The difference is in intention. Productive tension comes from the desire to create something better together. Toxicity comes from the desire to control or dominate the other. Can you feel the difference? One makes you feel more alive, more awake, more present. The other makes you feel drained, confused, less yourself. And this connects us directly to the third element. Authentic vulnerability is perhaps the most powerful weapon in the seduction arsenal, but also the most misunderstood. Most men think being vulnerable means telling all their problems, exposing all their insecurities, or pouring out their soul from the first encounter. That's not vulnerability. That's emotional neediness disguised as authenticity. Neil Strauss discovered that true vulnerability is selective, strategic, and above all, strong. It's the ability to show your humanity without losing your power. It's sharing your deepest truths from a place of confidence, not desperation. Think about the most memorable moments you've had with other people. They probably weren't when everything was perfect and superficial. They were when someone took off their mask for a moment and showed you something real, something vulnerable, something that made you feel like you were seeing the real person behind the facade. But notice something important. In those moments, that person wasn't asking for your pity. They weren't trying to get you to save them. They were sharing a part of their human experience with you, as a gift, not as a burden. Attractive vulnerability sounds like this. You know, I went through a difficult time a few years ago where I questioned everything I believed about myself. It was painful, but it helped me discover who I really am. Needy vulnerability sounds like this. I have so many problems. I feel so lost. I don't know what to do with my life. Help me. Do you notice the difference? One invites you to get to know a complex and interesting person. The other invites you to be a free therapist. Here's your exercise. Identify a difficult experience you've lived through and from which you emerged stronger. Now practice telling it in a way that shows your growth, not your pain. Focus on what you learned, how it transformed you, the wisdom you gained. That's magnetic vulnerability. When you share from this place, something magical happens. The other person not only feels closer to you, but feels inspired by you. They see in you someone who can face life's challenges and come out transformed, not destroyed. And that's tremendously attractive because we all want to be around people who elevate us, who inspire us to be better, who show us that it's possible to grow through difficulties. Neil Strauss understood that vulnerability isn't showing your wounds, it's showing how you've healed. It's not exposing your pain, it's revealing your power of transformation. But there's something even deeper than this, something that separates ordinary men from those who are truly irresistible. The fourth element is what we could call invisible abundance. I'm not talking about showing off your success or bragging about your life. I'm talking about that energetic quality that people have who are completely comfortable with themselves, who don't need external validation to feel complete. Have you ever been around someone who was clearly trying to impress you? Everything in their body language screamed, "Please validate me, please tell me I'm enough." It's uncomfortable, right? No matter how many real achievements that person has, there's something in their energy that repels instead of attracts. Now think of someone you know who has that natural presence, that quiet confidence. They're not trying to prove anything. They're not competing for your attention. They simply are, and their simple being is magnetic. That's invisible abundance. It's that internal feeling of being complete, of having a rich and interesting life that doesn't depend on any specific person's approval. It's what Neil Strauss called the high-value man's frame. You don't need to prove your worth because you live it from within. But here's the trick. Abundance can't be faked. It can be developed, but it can't be acted. People can sense the difference between real confidence and acted confidence from miles away. So how do you develop this invisible abundance? Start by creating a life that genuinely excites you, not to impress others, but to impress yourself. Develop passions that make you lose track of time. Build relationships that nourish you. Pursue goals that challenge you. When your life is full of purpose, passion, and growth, you don't have to fake abundance. You live it. And that energy is felt from the first moment someone interacts with you. Here's a powerful exercise. For the next week, every day before any important interaction, especially with that person you're interested in, take 5 minutes to remember everything good you have in your life. Not your external achievements, but the experiences, people, moments that make you feel grateful to be alive. Connect with that feeling of abundance before the interaction. Let that energy fill your body. When you interact from that place, everything changes. Your posture changes. Your voice changes. Your presence changes. And she's going to notice. Because when someone interacts with you from a place of genuine abundance, it makes you feel special for the simple fact that they chose to share their energy with you. Not because they need to, but because they want to. Neil Strauss discovered that the most powerful seduction isn't making someone need you. It's making someone feel lucky to know you. And that's only possible when you feel lucky to be who you are. But all of this leads us to the final element, the most powerful of all. The fifth and final element that transforms friendship into passion is what we could call the gift of your absence. Sounds contradictory, right? But hear me out. Neil Strauss observed something fascinating in his years of study. The most desired people aren't those who are always available. They're those who know when to withdraw, when to create space, when to allow the other person to miss them. Think about your favorite song. If you listened to it all day, every day, for a month, would it still be your favorite? Probably not. The reason that song maintains its power is because you don't have unlimited access to it. Absence creates desire. The same thing happens with people. When you're always available, when you always respond immediately, when you always say yes, you become something taken for granted. There's no mystery, no challenge, no space for the other person to wonder what you're doing, who you're with, what you're thinking. But when you learn the art of strategic withdrawal, when you know how to create space without creating distance, when you understand how to make yourself missed without disappearing, that's where true attraction is born. This doesn't mean playing toxic mind games or manipulating emotions. It means having a life so rich and interesting that you genuinely have more important things to do than being available 24/7 for any person. It means that when you're with her, you're completely present. But when you're not with her, you're completely present in your own life. You're not waiting for her message. You're not analyzing every word of her last conversation. You're living your own adventure. Have you noticed how the most attractive people seem to have secrets? Not dark or manipulative secrets, but simply aspects of their life they don't share immediately. They have layers, they have depth, there's more to discover. When you share everything from day one, when there's nothing left to discover, when you're completely predictable, you eliminate one of the most powerful elements of attraction, curiosity. Here's your final exercise, and it's the most important one. For the next few days, practice the art of elegant withdrawal. When you feel the conversation at its highest point, when you're both laughing and connecting, find a genuine reason to leave. This has been incredible, but I have to go to my workout. I love talking to you, but I promise to call my sister. Leave when things are good, not when they start to decline. Let her be left with the taste of that good energy, wanting more. And during your absence, don't be thinking about her. Go and live that interesting life that makes your presence valuable. Train, create, learn, connect with others, pursue your goals. Neil Strauss understood that the most powerful seduction happens when you're not there. It's in your absence that she processes the experience she just had with you. It's in your absence that she wonders when she'll see you again. It's in your absence that she realizes how different you feel compared to others. But for your absence to be powerful, your presence has to be memorable. You can't withdraw from something mediocre and expect to be missed. You have to create moments so authentic, so full of life, so unique, that when you're not there, there's a palpable void. Strategic withdrawal isn't coldness, it's confidence. It's knowing that what you offer is so valuable that it deserves to be missed. It's understanding that desire feeds on anticipation, not satiation. Can you feel how these 5 elements work together? The magnetic presence that makes you unforgettable, the productive tension that creates sparks, the authentic vulnerability that generates intimacy, the invisible abundance that makes you irresistible, and the gift of your absence that transforms comfort into desire. When you integrate these elements into your way of being, you don't just transform a friendship into passion. You transform yourself into the kind of man who naturally attracts what he desires, who doesn't have to chase because others come to him, who doesn't have to prove his worth because he radiates it from every cell of his being. And here's the great truth that Neil Strauss discovered after years of study. The most powerful seduction isn't making someone fall in love with you. It's becoming someone worth falling in love with. It's not about techniques or tricks. It's about personal evolution. It's about becoming the best version of yourself, not to get someone, but because you deserve to live an extraordinary life, surrounded by people who recognize and celebrate your value. When you understand this, when you really integrate it, something magical happens. You stop being in the friend zone, not because you applied a technique, but because you no longer vibrate at the frequency of someone who belongs there. You vibrate at the frequency of someone who is genuinely attractive, complete, and valuable. And that vibration is irresistible. But this requires courage. It requires the courage to stop seeking approval and start living from your own authority. It requires the courage to be vulnerable without being needy. It requires the courage to create tension without creating conflict. It requires the courage to withdraw when every fiber of your being wants to cling. It's a path of growth, not a quick trick. But it's the only path that leads to authentic, lasting, and passionate connections. So, are you ready to stop being the understanding friend and become the irresistible man? Are you ready to stop chasing and start attracting? Are you ready to transform not just that friendship, but your entire way of relating to the world? If something you've heard today resonated with you, write in the comments, "I choose to be irresistible." I want to see how many of you are ready for this level of transformation. And if this content has opened your eyes to a new way of understanding attraction, don't keep this information to yourself. Share it with someone you know needs it. Subscribe for more content that helps you become the best version of yourself. And hit that notification bell because every week we're going to explore more deeply these principles that can change your life forever. Remember, it's not about getting someone. It's about becoming someone who naturally attracts what they deserve. And you deserve extraordinary connections with people who recognize your value without you having to prove it. The journey begins now. Are you ready?